Here. Hello. Oh my goodness gracious. I really feel like it's one of my kids about to speak. Oh man. Shaddy. She joined me. So sorry, I was wrong. She joined me in October 2018. No plans of coaching. She'll share her story, but in January, like a couple months later after she completed T25, now I remember like perfectly, because you freaking crushed T25 just like you crushed every single program, Shaddy. After that, her results were amazing. Her attitude was even friggin' better, and we decided that she wanted to coach. It was a funny story, honestly. I thought for some reason she was waiting 6 months to join me, and I was like, she reached out about coaching, and I was like, I thought we were waiting. Like, anyway, the second we found out that she didn't have to wait, she signed up that day. She was just so obsessed with her transformation and just wanted to share with her, like, all of her friends. She was already working out she was a teacher. She was working out at work, and people were joining her. But anyway, she has grown so much and shrunk. She lost, 75 pounds. I don't know if you guys saw that picture. She completely transformed from the inside out, and me and her just got so close over the now almost a couple years. But I can't wait to hear you speak and hear your story and everything. Shaddy, take it away.
I literally was like, how do I unmute myself? As
Hey,
if
you
I
know
would
what?
never fucking thing. Like, what the hell?
I'm like, hold on, Shaddy. You know what? I already fucked this call up. Anybody have announcements?
Very true.
I was gonna say, Jacques, happy 1 year.
I have one of my new coaches on here. Hi, Candace.
Hello. I can't think of anything right now, but if I do, I'll at the end, I'll like talk about it. But all right, Shaddy, go ahead.
Well, hi, friends. How's it going? I'm very, very excited to be here. But because I'm so excited, I'm scared I'm going to overtalk. So let's just bear with me and let me get started. I also have like a whole other screen of notes. So if I keep looking over, I swear it's just because I want to stay on track and not just talk forever. So as you guys know, when I started, I was pretty overweight. I honestly like struggled with my weight and my relationship with food for like a really, really long time. As a kid, food was a reward. So it was just so hard for me to like detach that idea of the fact that food was rewarding to me. And I just loved treating myself. So I would just eat all the things. And when I literally started school, so like background info, I have no family here. It's just me, my parents, and my sister. So like in my school, I was like one of the only not Canadian students there. So I started elementary and I was not white. I was pretty fucking chubby and I had a very, very high pitched voice. I don't know if it's still that high pitched. I like to think that it isn't. But I had a very high pitched voice and it unfortunately made me a really easy target. Like when I was in grade 4, that's when it really started. People started to call me Shaddies with an S, and they said, "You're so fat, we can make 2 of you." And it was like brutal for me to deal with that. I was like, that's fucking awful. And I used to like go home just like bawling, and the self-doubt was like just surreal because it's like all I kept hearing was that I was not good enough. Like they were defining my worth. So I just was like, wow, like, and my brain would be like, wow, I can't do this alone. Neither can the other fat Shaddy. Like I literally would be like, there's 2 of me and I can't do it alone and neither can the second one. And I would just feed into that. And I would go home and like bawl my eyes out. And my mom was like the one that was like reinstilling my belief. She was like, fuck that. You've got this. And she was like constantly just building me up and making sure that my attitude would like kind of stay on track up until grade 6 where she pulled me from the school. Come like grade 7, she put me in a new school and she was like, we're gonna try this again. And I was like, okay. So I kind of went into it with this like, okay, like I tried to be myself and then I made myself really small. So we're gonna try it again. But this time we're gonna be like really defensive. So I was very quickly became the reputation of the girl that was fun and outgoing in herself, but really quick to react. I was very defensive, my wall was like very thick. It was very hard for you to get to know me, like the real soft parts of me. Like when I started there, they didn't know that I used to be called Shaddies. Yeah, I was still chubby, but like no one really attacked you in grade 7 for that. It almost was unfortunately normal because of society. So I just got this rep for being that person. And I thought it was kind of cool, to tell you guys the truth. I was about it. I was like, I don't mind having this like tough exterior. So I kept it for like all of high school. And truthfully, like my weight just kept getting worse. And it was in grade 9 where my stomach was like brutal. I actually ended up missing half of grade 9 and half of grade 10 because I was going to the doctor so often because they were trying to figure out like what was creating this fucked up imbalance in my stomach. Like, guys, anything I would eat would make me nauseous, and all my body would do was hold on to it. And they were checking me for stuff like PCOS. They were like, you're so little, but like maybe, we don't know. And it ended up that I have inflammatory bowel disease. Essentially what that means is I have like a lot of symptoms of different bowel diseases, but not enough of one. So they couldn't really give me like a full-on diagnosis or a plan to fix it. So they actually sent me to a nutritionist. They were like, okay, here's a couple like steroids. And they told me like the steroids are going to make you swell. So they're like, here's some steroids to help for now. Go work with a nutritionist. But I was 14. I felt like working with a nutritionist. Like, no, not at all. So like I didn't implement at all what she wanted me to do. To be honest, my mom was doing most of it for me because my mom was making my foods. So she was just very attentive and she was always just trying to support me. So although I was playing sports and I had a pretty good social life, I still couldn't get a control of my weight. And I was just never 100% really believing in myself because my self-doubt was so high in my brain. So we're going to like fast forward to when I turned 22. It was like a month after my 22nd birthday. My mom came and sat down with me and she was just like, hey, like trying to act nonchalant. And she pulled me and my sister aside and she's like, I just want to like talk to you guys. And we were like, what's up? She's like, so I went to the doctor because I had a stomach ache. And we're like, okay. And like, guys, my mom was 47 years old. So she goes to the doctor claiming that she has a stomach ache. And after a couple tests, they actually found out that my mom had stage 4 cancer. They were like, yeah, this is so much more than a stomach ache. And they pretty much looked at her and were like, at the point of where you're at, you have about a month. And I was like, this can't be real life. Like the woman that's literally reinstilled that belief in me my whole entire life, I'm about to lose her. And like, I have never lost a grandparent. I've never lost an aunt. I've never lost anyone. And you're telling me that the first person I'm about to lose is my mom? Like, what? So I like fucking panicked. It was not good. But what was really unbelievable for me was she handled it with such grace, you guys. Like every day she would tell us like, I'm not going to die. And because she just kept telling me like, this is not going to happen, we literally were like, okay, we're going to believe you. And she changed her diet 100%. She started to not eat sugar anymore. There was no more like processed foods in the house. It was just raw organic foods. That's it. That's all. There was no sugar added into anything. And guys, she made it 18 motherfucking months. Like that is so friggin' badass. Like it's the one thing that I'm never ever going to forget about her. And I mean, it's your mom. It's hard to forget anything about them to begin with. But that especially, the fact that she was able to take such a fucked up situation and just keep telling herself, no, like, guys, the main reason why she left was because her liver gave out. It wasn't even the tumors. It was her liver no longer could process the medication the doctors were giving her. So like her tumors were actively getting smaller because her mind kept saying, I'm not going there. And the fact that like that to me is really what showed me like, okay. But for the longest time, she wouldn't tell us what the root issue to the cancer was. Like we had no idea where it started, and she wouldn't tell me. And when she passed, the doctors came up to us and were like, so in Quebec's fucked up. They literally like shred your docs. As soon as you're dead, they're like gone. So they're like, what do you want to do with these docs? We were going to shred them. I'm like, no, I want them. So I read through them. Her cancer started in her colon, which is like, no shit, you didn't want to tell me because you didn't want to stress me out, which obviously, duh, I started to stress out. I was like freaking the fuck out. I was like, what am I going to do? Like, I need to figure out a way to take care of myself. So she ended up passing away June 14th. And it was like by September where it was like crippling. It was so hard for me to deal with the fact that I was like still putting on weight, that I still felt like shit. And I was like, I'm going to fucking die. And I was like, I need to stop. Like, I already knew I needed to stop saying that because I was like, it's going to happen if I keep saying it. And it's not even going to happen from cancer. I'm going to get ran over by a fucking car. Like, it's going to be something stupid because I keep saying out loud I'm going to die. Like, who says that? Let's stop. So I pretty much like manifested it so much in my head of like, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? That literally Haley's page just appeared in my newsfeed. And the thing that like made me attracted to her was the beautiful pink hair. I like clicked on her page and was like, yo, this girl's got fucking sick hair. Get on her page. And she's like talking about health and fitness. So I started to stalk her within like 12 hours. I was like, fuck this. This is the sign we're doing this. So I signed up with her and I was like, hey, and I literally told her, I was like, my mom just died. I need your help. And she like contacted me within like 12 hours. She was like, what the fuck? And I was like, hi, help me. And she's like, okay. And all I kept telling myself was, you know what, Shaddy, what do you have to lose? You're going to get the money back. If nothing happens, you're going to get the fucking money back. So at worst case, you just hung out with some really cool chick for a month, whatever. So clearly that isn't what happened. And the thing that's funny is I think about who I was back then and fear controlled me. I was super defensive. I was really reactive. I wouldn't think before I would talk. I just assumed that the world was coming to get me. And I played the blame game a lot. So like if I was in a bad mood, I would blame it on the fact that while I was at work, that client was such a bitch to me and that's why I'm in a bad mood. And now I'm coming home and I'm going to stay in a bad mood. And I would like stay grumpy and in a shitty mindset forever. And I couldn't snap out of it. And it wasn't until when I joined our community and started to listen to like personal development where I at least started to hear what they were saying. So I started to realize like, oh, maybe I kind of control this. Maybe I don't. And I kind of started to like play with this idea. So I enrolled as a coach, which of course, as we know, when we do coaching, we have to do PD. So I was doing the PD and I thought I was implementing it. And then December 2019 happened. So real quick, we're just going to explain how my life went like this. So my mom died June 2018, sorry. I got engaged October 2018. I got my permanence at my job October 2018. And then I bought a house. I moved in July 2019. And by December 2019, my fiance wanted to leave. And I was like, I'm sorry, what? I was like, what do you mean you're leaving? And he was, it's kind of funny because now when I think back to it, I'm like, yeah, I would have left me too. I was not in a good place. And as much as I was happy that I got my permanence at work, guys, I was at the point where I was looking at my job and I was being like, this is it. I worked like 5 years, my ass off to come to this point, and now I'm just a number, and every year I get $1 raise. Like, what the fuck? I'm busting my ass off as if I'm not getting paid what I'm worth. And that started to sit in my head a lot. So I would go to work and then come home and be miserable, and I would expect him to fix those issues. Well, he didn't fucking create those problems. It's not his fault my job's like that. His job's also like that. As if it's fair for me to come home and go like, you need to make me happy. And that's what I was doing. So when he couldn't fill that cup anymore, we started to have huge issues. But I was so caught up in my bullshit that I wasn't actually paying attention. So when he brought it up to my attention in December, I freaked out and I begged for time. I begged. I was like, I promise I'm going to do whatever it takes. I'm going to fix it. And I'm not fucking kidding. I enrolled in therapy the next week. I was like, okay, we're doing this. And I went to therapy, and therapy, guys, first of all, it needs to be talked about way more often than it is. Therapy is the fucking coolest thing you could ever have in your life. It's like having that business coach, but for your emotions. Like, it's another level of empowering to me. So when I started therapy, my therapist so I met her, I think 6 times in 2 weeks. I was not fucking playing. I was like in it. I was like, we're doing this. And she even was like, girl, you don't need to be here this often. Because by the 6th visit, she was like, listen, you already know what the right things are. You say it. And she's like, but here's the thing. Are you implementing them? And I was like, I don't know. Am I? And she's like, do you know how? And I was like, nope. I just know I need to hear it. And I'm supposed to do something with it, but I don't really know what to do with it. So she's the one who really showed me like how to use my journal. She taught me like how to use my journal in a way where I can focus on breaking down my behavior. And I'm going to jump into that in a minute. So like she really helped me how to do that. And I started to understand that I had to take ownership in my feelings. And when I started to take ownership in my feelings, I was still trying to fix my relationship with Sam. So it was like 2 weeks, I'd say, where I was like coming home, giving him 100%, but he was already so checked out that he would give me 20. And it was like fucking brutal to come home to someone who doesn't want to work at something with you. It's like, okay, fuck this. And I literally was like, okay, you know what? Fine, you win. I'm leaving. And he was like, wait, what? Because I was no longer leaving on his terms. So he then lost control of his emotions and he started to get really angry. And the anger terrified the fuck out of me. And I was going to sit in the house with him because, like I said, we had bought this house. So I was going to like sit there and just be hopefully like civil roommates up until we sell the house. The way his anger started to take over his emotions, I was like genuinely scared for my safety. And I was like, I don't want to be here. I'm so fucking scared. I don't want to be here. And I'm not saying anything. I'm not doing anything. And you're just losing your mind. So I was like, I need to get the fuck out of here. So I literally called my dad, who I hadn't spoken to for over like 2.5 months, because obviously there's issues. So I'm like, Dad, like, I'm sorry, but I'm just coming. And ironically enough, he was leaving. He was going to Thailand to get remarried, which another side story. So then I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to come and watch the house. And I didn't miss a fucking beat. The second I went and moved into the house, I put our house up for sale. And within 2 weeks, it was bought. And it was bought for $70,000 more than asking price. Like, it was as if the universe was like, yeah, okay, girl, you want this? Let's do it. And I was like, okay, cool. And this whole time, Sam's trying to be like, no, Shaddy, no, Shaddy. And I was like, fuck you, I'm not ready. Like, I'm not ready. I don't want to hear it. Go figure out your shit. Leave me alone. And he was like, okay. And it was when we had to go sign documents for the paper where I saw him and a part of him looked lighter. And like, Sam's a chunky little man. I love him. So he wasn't light in that way. He seemed like just free. And I looked at him and I was like, what's up? And he's like, I started therapy in anger management. And I was like, shut the fuck up. And he's like, do you want to go for a coffee? I'm like, yes, please. So suddenly, COVID, all this stuff, now we're full on doing life again together. And it's just so fucked up to me because my business, I did not hit Success Club December, January, or February. And those were the 3 months where my relationship was absolute garbage. And I stopped showing up at, like, I was still on here. I think I told Haley the goal was 3 times a week. I showed up 3 times a week. Other than that, I was like, leave me alone. I need to like control this. I don't feel like being fake, whatever. And she was like, girl, do you? And I was like, all right, thank you. So I really think one of the reasons why our relationship has blossomed and why my business is doing so much better, it's because I relearned how to communicate. The funny thing is, the first day I met him, I told him there's 2 things I want in a relationship. And I want this in all my relationships. I want to feel appreciated and I want damn communication. I want to talk. I want to have a conversation. I want you to tell me how you're feeling. But although I was saying that, what would happen is when someone would come up to me with something negative, I would panic and I wouldn't allow the space. I wouldn't allow them to say what they need to say in a free space. So when it came to us, and actually when it comes to all relationships, and this is like one of the biggest takeaways I want you guys to understand, is if you want to build any relationship at all, the truth behind it is it starts with you. You need to be able to have the conversation with yourself. If you can't have these hard, difficult conversations with you, how do you want to have them with someone else? And like, think about your inner dialogue. Like, how do you talk to yourself? Would you really want to be friends with that person? If you don't like what that person's saying, please don't say it out loud and don't listen. Like, try to detach yourself from that voice. And like, I know a bunch of us have read Untethered Soul. That's like the first chapter. It's like differentiating yourself from that voice and knowing that like the conversation you have with you is the conversation you're going to have with other people. So you really need to practice that positive self-talk, which I also learned from my mom. Like, fuck, man, all she kept saying was, I'm not going to die. And the doctor's like, yeah, you got a month. She's like, fuck you. I got 18. And she was trying to kill it. Like, it was like, it really just is so overwhelming to me to think about how it really just starts with you. So for me to break down through these things, this is where the journaling has really come into play. So what I did with my journaling is like, I would journal my behaviors, like how I would respond to something. And I would sit down and break down the behavior pattern. Because the only way for us to actually change something we don't like is to bring awareness to what is happening. Well, you can't be aware if you don't know what's happening. Just like when Sam was saying, like, I try to tell you something, but you were so angry. And it's like, but I wasn't aware. I was so defensive that I wouldn't give him the opportunity or even give myself the chance to hear what they were saying. So in journaling, I'm able to realize like, oh, I do cut people off. And I still do that. And I'm working on it, I swear. So like, it's that part where when I bring the awareness, I'm able to step back and look at it objectively and go like, is this really how I want to respond? So my goal this year, like one of my New Year resolutions, was to be more responsive and not reactive, which involves taking a step back and going like, okay, I'm going to think about this before I even say anything. And it is hard. And I've even told people, I don't have an answer right now. It's okay to tell someone like, I don't know what to say to this right now. I need 10 minutes. And people are just waiting for that moment of shock. I like read your fucking comment and it shifted in my head. I was like, this girl is okay. They, God, now I forget. But I'm just gonna move on.
I do that shit all the time. So I love that. More responsive and less reactive, like so much. Shaddy,
So
hold on. I just really can't even tell you how much you've changed with that exact thing.
like huge. It's huge because it's a big part to even, you can apply it to your eating. Like it applies to everything. It applies to absolutely everything. When you're frustrated and you're mad and you want to grab that bag of chips, what? Do you want 2 problems now? Because after you eat that bag of chips, you're going to feel like shit. So not only did you already feel like shit, but now you ate the bag of chips and now you feel even worse. So now you have 2 problems. So why are we directing it into more than one big issue?
Yep.
The issue is what we're feeling on the inside. So let's bring it out. Let's talk about it. Let's journal about it.
I'm like, by the way, Shaddy actually just took over this thing and Win Your Life for the most part, every Saturday at 11 o'clock. If you guys really want to join, she's so great. She's been doing this like meal planning session every Saturday. Like I said, at 11, usually 11 to 11:45. She actually messing around with both Ultimate Portion Fix and To Be Mindset. She was actually like, she's a professional basically in both now. And she doesn't just talk about the programs. She talks about like way deeper stuff like relationships with food and people and everything. So if you ever want to join that, just let me or Shaddy know. Somebody is not muted and I'm like trying to figure out who it is. I'll figure it out. Anyway, Shaddy, go ahead. You're so great.
So it's actually perfect that I lost my train of thought where I was because that was my next bullet point. So what I said was like, one of the big things was learning to be responsive and not reactive. And one of the things that stopped me from doing that was when I talked to my therapist about it, I was like, well, how am I supposed to share my truth if I can't like necessarily respond? And she was like, honey, like, welcome to, and this is like the big thing that Sam and I do, reframe. You reframe what you're trying to say. You can always get your point across without offending one another. You just need to open that like clear line of communication within one another and allow that space. So like, this is just a very brief like example, but like my best friend and I, we use the word bitch as a term of endearment. So I could pick up the phone and be like, what a bitch. And she knows I'm not coming at her. But if I say that to like my aunt, she's going to be like, excuse me? Which is fair because that's not the language she uses. So that's what reframing is about. It's about taking your thought and saying it in a way that's not necessarily pointing fingers. It's more just about you and your feelings. And when I started to focus on the fact that that was my controllable, you know how we always say to each other, focus on your controllables, like control your controllables, sorry. I was able to carry that throughout my relationships. So I'm going to break down like some of the relationship parts where like I really push communication. So obviously with the spouse, guys, Sam doesn't do Beachbody. Sam doesn't give a flying fuck about Beachbody. I do 2B, he could give 2B shits. He gives no flying fucks about my food. He does not care. But all I could ask from him was literally to allow the space for me to grow into who I want to, while he also grows into who he wants to. And that's all I think we can ask from any relationship. Our best friends, our family, the people that love us, they should let us blossom into who we want to become. So if they're going to be a barrier, that's when you need to step back and ask yourself, is this person worth the barrier? And it's a scary fucking question. It's terrifying to think that, man, guys, like, do you think I wanted to lose my spouse? Like, no. But I was at the point where I was like, you know what? You don't want to take on what I'm doing and it's overwhelming for you and you have all these reasons as to why it's not going to work and you don't want to do it. Well, then fuck you. Well, here's the fucking door. Like, why am I putting myself into this small ass stupid fucking box for you? You should love me for who I am. And if who I am is someone who is inspiring, someone who's motivational, like, guys, as coaches, we are not bad people. I would understand if we were like robbers or we were just shit talkers, like, okay, fine. But we focus on being really good people. So why would someone that loves you wouldn't want you to be that way? And I think a lot of it happens because, well, this was my thing. I used to think that in a relationship, it was two halves that come together as one. But the truth behind it is you're supposed to be whole before you find each other. You're literally supposed to already be who you are when you get into a relationship. But the way our society is, we all start dating when we're like 14. Do you think we know what the fuck we want at 14? Like, no. So sometimes that's where the compromise comes in. And that's where communication is so big, because if you can't tell each other as you're growing, like, hey, you know, I used to tell them, like, I really want to live like kind of secluded on a whatever. Like, my goal was like to live in a farm. Well, we got it. I fucking hated it. I hated it so much. And I had to look at him and go like, you know, one of the reasons why I'm so unhappy is because I fucking hate where we live. And he was like, oh. And I was like, I know, I don't know why I was lying to myself. I was lying to myself because I was scared to tell you because I didn't want to lose you. But that's so stupid because I lost you anyways. I was so unhappy that I ended up losing him anyways. So it's like, really, would it have not been better if I just was truthful about my feelings and just told them? Probably. But I'm going to say that it's not always that easy. And I honestly think that if he didn't decide to do therapy on his end and I didn't do therapy, we would have never gotten there. So, you know, some people do couples counseling. We did separate counseling, and I don't even want to go back. Like, I don't want to do couples counseling because I like what both of our therapists are doing. It's also about when you talk about things that are upsetting, guys, it's not placing blame. You have to like validate your emotions. So like, for example, sometimes I would say to Sam, like, you know, when you did this, it made me feel like, well, why am I saying that? All I need to say is when this happened, when we were in this situation, I really felt insecure because of And I would say why it triggered my insecurities. And as I journaled, I was able to look at him and say, like, it brought back that time where the kid called me Shaddies with an S. It just set me back there. And then I got defensive. And then he's able to sit there and go like, oh, that's so silly. Of course, that's not what the frig I'm talking about. Right? Instead of it being like, well, Sam, like you pulled out the bag of chips and it was really hard for me to say no. Like not fair. And if I'm asking for the space to do what I need to do, I also need to drop that boundary to allow him to make those choices. So if he wants to have a bag of chips at night, I can't look at him and say, no, you can't have those. Well, fuck, that's not fair. It's a two-way street. We have to meet each other in the middle. Within clients. Okay. I love talking to my clients, guys. And you want to know why? Because I used to be really scared of inviting. I thought inviting was like fucking terrifying. I had like 3 go-to scripts. Man, I hate when I go back in those old conversations and you see the old script at the top. You're like, yo, who wrote that? That wasn't me. My bad, girl. And I have like straight up apologized to people. I've been like, yo, I don't know who that was. That wasn't me. And they're like, what? I'm like, hi, I'm Shaddy. It's really nice to meet you. And they're like, okay, hey, like, what the fuck? And I'm like, no, because a lot of it actually comes from our amazing Siobhan and Candace Roberts. They both always talk about just being enthusiastic and authentically you and like not being scared to be you. And I was telling Haley earlier, like, we become so much more approachable when we can go on our stories and just be our silly selves. Like when we can just show up and just be on there, we become a lot more approachable. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I had 2 people reach out to me within the last 24 hours and signed up with a share cart, and I did not talk to them at all. I didn't send them one fucking hello. Why did they feel so comfortable to come up to me and just be like, hey, I really think it's because I show up on my stories every day and I'm just like a turd. And when I respond back, it's a voice message. Voice messages are the bomb. They save so much time. And you can just, like, have you guys ever tried to explain, and I'm sure you have, what's included in your wellness challenge? Yo, reading that, just typing it's exhausting. Then reading it, you're like, oh my God, like this girl just like threw up all this stuff on me. In the voice memo, the girls are always like, wow, that's a lot of information, but you're like, I make a joke out of it. I like laugh and like they can hear my tone and they'll say like, that was a lot of information, but I love your enthusiasm. I'm really excited. Is there more info I need to know? I've gotten a lot more positive responses from taking that time to step out of my comfort zone and like talk in a voice message. And when I'm building relationships, I ask a lot of open-ended questions. What is an open-ended question? It's a question that doesn't just have a yes or no to it. So I make sure that they're not always at the very beginning, but as I get to talk to them, I make it more about them. So like there's I'm sure you guys have heard most of the stuff, but there's an 80-20 rule. So it's like 20% you're talking, 80% you're listening. And then when you answer back with another question. You're like allowing the space for them to keep talking to you. And you want to make yourself like, as you ask questions, they become more quality, open-ended questions because they're more referring to what they're talking about. And one thing I do all of the time is I lead with vulnerability. I talk about, like the other day I made a post about how I was so happy I was rocking a bikini because I used to wear a tankini thinking I was covering up. But guys, have you ever worn one of those? When you come out of the water, it fucking suctions you. It's worse than if you just went in a bikini. It's so much worse. Because then like, I literally wrote like, you know, when you're running back to your towel and you could feel yourself fucking jiggling and you're like, oh my God, I need to get to my towel. And then you wrap yourself in your towel and you're like, I hope no one saw me. I hope no one saw me. You're just like, I can't. And it was literally that conversation opened up so much. Like people literally were like, oh my God, I know exactly what you're talking about. And it's because I'm not trying to sell the product. I'm trying to sell the feeling. You guys, like we feel so fucking good. And the more you tell yourself, I feel good, you literally radiate it. You start to fucking shine that shit. Like the amount of people that wrote to me being like, yo, you are radiating, you're glowing. I'm like, I know, I can feel it. Like I feel it right now. I literally am like, I'm sweating it out. I'm like, like, it's just so nice. And what's even more helpful is then at that point, they let out their pain points. And when they let out their pain points, it's super easy for you to fix them, like for you to offer a solution to their pain point. Once you lead with vulnerability and you give them the opportunity to be vulnerable with you, then you can be like, oh my God, I know what that's like. Oh, I'm so grateful. If it wasn't for this community, they really boosted me up. I would have never, and this isn't a lie, I would have never thought that I would be coaching. For like, literally when Haley tried to talk to me about coaching, I was like, no. I literally wouldn't even let her talk to me about it. I was like, no, don't talk to me. And she was like, okay. I was like, stop it. And then literally within 10 weeks, I was like, what the fuck am I saying? I want to coach. This is so cool. And I was like, let's just do this. Did I really know what I was doing for the first year? No. But am I figuring it out? And am I so much happier and feel like I've just gotten so much bigger? Like my growth is surreal. When people see me, they're like, you are literally not the same person. I'm like, I know, isn't that cool? Like, isn't it so cool to think that you've been fucking coasting for God knows what purpose? And I'm over here and you're like, yo, who are you? And I'm like, hey, what up? And is it my last point? It's my second last point. Haters. Okay, you guys. I'm not saying I don't have them. Of course I do. I'm on there all the time being like, blah, 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 blah. People are like, what the fuck? Like, I'm an easy target for that purpose as well. So I'm not going to lie. My inner critic, and just like I'm sure like a lot of yours, is the meanest fucking bitch in the world. Do you think I need more people reassuring her that she's right? No. So and this is something that I've went through therapy, is when someone says something mean, I actually will write back and say, thank you for bringing that to my attention. I hope you have a good day. And then I block them because it's like, we're done. We're not having a conversation about it. If you're going to be a dick, go ahead and be a dick or whatever the fuck. But then I'm going to genuinely thank you because maybe you're right. Maybe I did come off as like oversensitive or like, what's the word I'm looking for? Like not sensitive enough. Like maybe I was too abrupt in that. And it's like, okay, thanks for bringing that awareness to me. But I can tell you're not coming from a safe place. Insensitive. That's right. Thanks, boo. So like in those moments, instead of panicking, I will just literally say like, thank you. And then I don't spend any more time on it. I bless and release it. If it's something that really re-triggers it, then I go back and I journal about it. Just like I was telling you guys earlier, I just journal. I journal my whole life away because honestly, it's the easiest way for me to like make it through anything is if I know where it's coming from. So I'll journal to be like, why did this re-trigger that feeling? And I do that even when I meet someone I don't like. Why don't I like that person? It's probably because they represent something inside of me that I don't really like. So what is it? And then I journal the shit about them. Wow, why the fuck don't I like this bitch? And by then I'm like, oh, it's because she's old me. Shit. I'm like, so instead of hating her, I can actually help her. Right? And honestly, I think the one thing that's really great to know is rejection is redirection. So when you get rejected, you just hit at it at another angle. It's like, okay, cool, that didn't work. Who cares? Moving on. If they're really your team players, they're still going to be there. So don't be scared to like make those errors and don't be scared of rejection. It doesn't define you. And that's what we need to remember is like, this stuff will never, ever define you. Someone else's opinion about you will never actually be who you are. What you keep telling yourself though will be. So like one of the funniest, like craziest things that I always tell myself is like, I always am feeding myself positive affirmations. Always. Throughout my workouts with Autumn guys, I'm being like, I got this, I got this, I got this, I got this, I got this. Even though I literally feel dizzy, I'm like, I got this, I got this. Because it doesn't matter. As soon as I'm done the workout, I'm no longer dizzy anyways. So it's all temperamental. It's all like short period. Someone help me find that word. It's like not long term. It's a short term. Temporary.
No.
What word?
Temporary.
Yes, temporary. Thanks, baby. I was like, help me. So the last thing I want to say to you guys is when you wait until you're seen and invited to share your gift, the success of your career and your material life will unfold. But it's going to be in the way that you'll never expect it. I lost my job before COVID, guys. So that permanence I had, it's gone. I don't have that job anymore. All I have is this. And I haven't missed Success Club since all I've had is this. So just think about that. I'm not saying up and quit your jobs or do what I did, which was breach confidentiality and get fired. But it's all part of our journey. And I'm so excited for all of us.
Baby, you just crushed it. I don't think I ever cried so much on a team call in my whole life.
Daddy, fuck yes.
Oh my goodness.
I love you, baby.
I love you.
I love you too much. That was
Pretty sure we all bawled, by the way.
Recording of this. I
wow.
love all of you.
I'm like, where do I begin? First of all, guys, I asked Shaddy to do this call today. Okay? All right, just today. She said yes immediately, and
Actually, I do want to sorry.
say
I
that.
do
I
wanna
already
say,
know what you're gonna say.
when she texted me and was like, "Do you want to do the call?" The first thing I did, guys, was I called Sam. I said, "Hey, usually we hang out after the call, but I'm hosting it. So is it okay if I'm not really present today? Because I need his support. I want to do life with him. So he needs to know that he's also important." So I made sure to ask him first. Obviously, he was like, "Fuck yeah, go crush that shit." He was like, he knows that one of my biggest goals is just public speak. So he's like, "Get it."
But old Shaddy would just say yes. And then when Sam would be like, you know, I thought we were hanging out tonight, she would be not nice to him and it would be a fight. So this is why, like, the difference between, you know, this is how I seen her grow is just it's not even little stuff. This is big stuff. So communication like that I wanted to talk about, it's just little stuff with relationships with, like, you know, whoever you live with, just literally so quick, just 1 minute. So whenever I'm doing anything, I will tell Patrick exactly what I'm doing. I don't care if he has no idea what I'm talking about. I'll be like, hey, just so you know, like, I'm a little backed up. I have to still talk on my story, make a check in to win your life, and make a quick post. It'll probably be like another hour. Is that okay? Is that cool? And like, yeah, that's fine. You know, no matter what I'm doing, I will let him know literally exactly what I'm doing. But for the most part, I try to get up earlier to not take away time from us. But if shit does happen, get in the way, or I don't wake up early enough, you have to explain yourself instead of just like locking yourself in a different room on your phone. They have no idea what you're doing. They probably think that you're just being an idiot on your phone. Like, of course they won't want to support you in your business. Like, I would be like, hell no, I don't want my girl on the phone all the time. But if you're like, I still have to talk to my story, it's really important for me to share my voice every single day because this. I still need to check into Win Your Life because those are the people that trusted me. And I still need to make a post so I'll never miss a day. You know what I mean? He'll be like, okay, so get to it, you know? But again, if I was just like, I need to go work and then go in a different room for an hour, that's going to cause a problem. So no matter what I do, I always, and same thing with Win Your Life. Like, if I'm struggling with something, like lately, I've been struggling so hard getting motivated to work out and to eat healthy and stuff. And it happens once in a while. It happens like once a year usually. And I can't lie. You know, I tell them the truth so I can get that help from them and let them know exactly what's going on so they can support me just like I support them when they're struggling. Same thing with like the team. If I'm struggling with Success Club, I'm going to be like, I have nothing to say for a team call tonight, but I will work with you, like, because I need to take my own advice and actually do this, and this. I will never keep whatever I have in my head. I have to let whoever it is know so we're all on the same page. Anyway, do you guys have questions about any of this? So I just think it's so great. Please, Shaddy, can you put your Instagram handle in the chat here? Because please, I'm not all about following a bunch of coaches and stuff like that. But first of all, I am about supporting our team. But also, like, just take a look at how Shaddy talks to the camera. Very confident. Sorry, can you hear me? You're good. Very confident, very like clear, to the point, and like the biggest thing is confidence to me. And Shaddy, like you didn't used to talk like that. You know what I mean?
No,
So
I was
just
very scared. And guys, I'm not going to lie. There is a call I have saved. It's one of Siobhan's. I think I've listened to it like 7 or 8 times because she's a boss. Like she's a friggin' boss.
yes.
And I find I get overwhelmed when I watch too many coach stories. And Siobhan is on there like a mad woman. She's on there all the time. So even watching those, I do get like overwhelmed almost. But her calls are more like easier to understand like how she does it without watching it and getting lost in her story.
Mm-hmm.
You're getting more like how to apply it to your business. So like use the resources we have, you guys. Like it's literally a YouTube video. I was like, Siobhan, typed in Siobhan's name. I was like, yo, boss, show me what to do.
Yeah, like whoever, like your next, I always say like the national wake up call. I know it's kind of annoying when they are doing the announcements of like new diamonds, new 2-star, new whatever, because it takes forever. But whatever rank you're trying to go towards, say if you're like, you know, you're an emerald and you really want to be a diamond, but like the real big goal is 2-star. Like start screenshotting those 2-star screens from the national wake up call and following those people and just getting ideas. Don't try to compare because it's literally like soul sucking, but ideas and just hope. And also it's just great to get to know other coaches and, you know, become friends with other people that are not on the team.
Can I say something about that real quick?
Yes.
About, yeah, like following them to get ideas, but not to like be like them. I feel like you're not gonna be able to help people that like Siobhan would be able to help because she's being herself, or who Shaddy's
Exactly.
gonna be able to help. So you putting your spin on like what's working for them is how you're gonna get your people, like how you're gonna get your tribe. And that's probably why you connect so well with your people, Shaddy, why they reached out to you without a fucking message.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like that's how we get to be ourselves for our own business.
It is the
so great.
It's the coolest job I've ever had. Like some of you guys have seen it. I literally roll my joints on my story. Like, are you kidding me? And like the amount of people that have written back to me being like, girl, you need to just teach me how to roll. Like I've actually joked about like, I should run a webinar and just teach a bunch of idiots how to roll.
I'll be there. But really though, she's like 100% herself. Like she was just saying, she will literally roll joints on her story. Like that's her. Like she just doesn't care who likes her, who doesn't, because the right people will hear her. But just Shaddy, the way you talk, I will continue to watch your story to get that type of energy inside of me to talk like that, because it's so amazing. And guys, it's not like she was always like this. It was just, this is a skill. She like learned it. She practiced. And she's been showing up like this every single day. And even more now that the whole COVID thing, and she's like on Brooke's work link for hours, guys. And no wonder why she's always in Success Club now, you know?
Not to say though, I do fuck around a lot.
I mean, we all do. We all do.
I was like waiting for Brooke to call me out.
I'm like, sometimes we fold laundry. It's okay. Any questions? I love that you talked about so communication with relationships, with you know what? You didn't really talk about too much about clients. So with her clients, she will just give it straight up voice message, no matter like what they need to hear, she'll tell them. She's not gonna beat around the bush. She's like, don't do this, you're like, whatever it is, she just says her truth. And I think I'm the same way. People will either love you or hate you for that, but like, I'm not gonna feed you some fake shit to make you feel better.
Well, and honestly, I was able to enroll like 3 discount coaches this week only because I told them like, listen, I'm throwing this discount on your on your package. But because I like didn't miss a beat with I never lied to them. I always told them the truth. And like, even when I would fuck up a voice memo, I would send it with the fuck up and then laugh at myself and continue with the conversation. And I would tell them like, sorry, I know I could have deleted that, but I want you to know who I am. And that way, when it came to the moment where like, let's say I did want to upsell a little bit, they wouldn't think that I was really trying to upsell them, because they were like, well, she was so real with me this whole time.
Speaking of upselling, I was thinking to myself today, I'm like, you're an idiot, because I literally use like Power Greens and like Recover and all those things every day, and I only show a couple of those things every day. So like today, I'm about to sign up a nurse who I've actually known for a really long time, and it's weird because I usually don't sign up people that I like know, but she's a nurse, and she was talking about how she goes to Dunkin' Donuts every day and all that, and so she wanted a cafe latte Shakeology, blah blah blah. And I'm like, oh, do you know how badly I wanted to quickly upsell the Power Greens, because I use it every day, and she was struggling with, I know I still can and I will, but it's not going to be as easy for me because I don't talk about it every day on my story. So if I just show it a couple times on my story, that will be the easiest upsell. If someone's like, I struggle with, getting my greens in and veggies, I'll be like, are you kidding me? But because I don't share it enough, it's just like, doesn't make any sense. So upselling will work for you if you share about what the hell you use.
I also don't know if you realize, but you kind of fixed a pain point for her. So like, she says that she likes the Dunkin' Donuts. So then you offered something that would still give her that craving fill without her going to Dunkin' Donuts.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I should go and learn today. Couple more minutes, guys. Any questions or anything you want to say? Besides how fucking awesome you were, Shaddy. That did not seem like your first public speaking event.
Thanks, friends. I love you. You
I
guys
am so jealous. So
like
great.
natural.
Such a natural.
Thanks, babe. Well,
I do want Shaddy one day to speak with us on nutrition programs, because she was like hardcore Ultimate Portion Fix, and now she's hardcore To Be Mindset. That's why she's been doing these Saturday meal planning sessions for Win Your Life in her community, because she's done both, and she's like really an expert at both, honestly.
Shaddy, I just wanted to say thank you, and you're speaking to my soul. You know that I'm on the same page as you, so.
So great. So yeah. What I just love so much how you actually you taught me how to listen first, then react. Because when I first met you, me and you both were not like that. I was not like that at all. We're both like mean, and now we're like, listen, can we learn from this? But what I want to do from your, what I really took away from your call is journaling. I have so much in my fucking mind that sometimes I can't move. I don't want to move. This is what's kind of been happening lately. I have so much to say and so much I'd rather do nothing. But if I write it down, I feel like it would get me through a lot.
I used to think that I was journaling. So when I started journaling, I brought it to my therapist, and she was like, this is a rant, honey. And I was like, isn't that journaling? And she's like, well, where's the solution? Where's the end point? And I was like, what? And she's like, the purpose, she was like, the reason why I want you, the reason why I was using it was, she was like, it's great that you're ranting, but it has to end with something at the bottom.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So you have to kind of, literally, Ash, I just use a regular notebook because it's so whatever is on my mind. So anything that's bothering me, I'll rampage about it, and I'll let my thoughts guide me. You know how in your own brain, when you're thinking about something that's upsetting, you jump from idea to idea?
Yes. And
you're kind of all of a sudden now mad about 7 things instead of 1 thing. So I'll let my hand write until it can't write anymore. And then I go back and I reread it, and I try to highlight the pieces that all link together. And then through that is where I learn my pattern behavior. And that's how I kind of write okay, my last sentence is always or my last paragraph is, next time, what am I going to do so that I don't end up here? Because this feeling sucks and I don't want to feel this way. So what do I do to catch it before and maybe use a different strategy or a different tool than what I used the first time to make myself feel better?
That's kind of just like, you know how we always I always want you guys to post your truth. Like if you're struggling, let them know you're struggling. If you're doing great, let them know you're doing great. But if you're struggling, don't just post that you're struggling. Talk about what you're going to be doing to get better, you know, to fix that. So it's kind of the same thing, huh?
Kelsey, I actually, that's kind of funny because I bring mine with me everywhere because I don't trust that Sam won't read it. I'm scared if he reads it. And like he even knows, he's like, to be fair, like I've told him, if you ask, I'll probably tell you. But like, it's still the fact that you're going to read the unfiltered version of it. And it was like, there was a while where I was working like 3 jobs. It literally was sitting in my purse. It'd come for me job to job to job to job to job. And that's how it would still be if I was working right now. It would come with me everywhere because it's like, no. And one time I left it at work and holy fuck, I drove back, didn't give a shit. I was home and I drove back because I was like, what if someone fucking reads it?
Those like meditations or whatever, it has like the spots on the app where you can fill it in, but I do like writing better, so I'm always like, sometimes I'll do both, and then sometimes I'm just like, what if someone someday finds this like people don't need to know the things going on inside my brain. That's not okay.
No.
Like I feel like, you know how when we were younger every journal had like a locket. Like, why can't? I mean, obviously, it would be so easy to
bust.
Yes.
That shit open, but seriously, just had a lock on it.
Oh my gosh, Shaddy. So do you journaling every morning, or is it all whenever you feel like you should?
Okay, so for a while I was doing it every single morning, but now I've been trying to push it because with the journaling, I've caught the behavior pattern, but it's being present as it's happening, which I'm struggling with. And you learn to be present through meditation. So I've been adding more meditation. So like I'm late to the meditation game, but I've been adding more meditation like instead of journaling. So I've made like meditation my number one right now, but I still journal minimum twice a week because there's still always shit in there. So I'm like, twice a week, we gotta go through it, talk about it to ourselves, make ourselves feel better.
Wow, who is this Shaddy girl? Because she never ever would meditate the first time I met her. I'm just saying.
Also, just an FYI, if you guys go to that like the Deepak Chopra's like website, you can always, I think you can get like 3. I don't know. I got like 3 meditation series for like, I think it was like $80 or $90, which sounds like a lot, but they're all 21-day.
Yeah, and you can reuse them.
You do them, absolutely. But each one of them, when you go to like the details, it says like details and journal, and it gives you like 4 different prompt questions every single day for the meditation. That just makes you be like, after your meditation, it's like journaling prompts to
I really need that because I have so much that goes on, and all of a sudden I'm like, okay, now let's work. What?
And also sometimes like you sit down to journal and you're just like, cool, I don't know. Like,
literally.
You might have so much to say, but you know, unless you're like prompted by something that's provoking, like a thought-provoking question where you're like, okay, cool.
Well, I love shit like that because
you
then
like get into my head for a second.
When you do stuff like this, it's so much easier to make a post or go on your story. When you're being, what's the word I'm looking for? Inspired. You can inspire others. If you're not inspiring yourself, forget about it.
I was about to say, Haley, you actually told me the quote.
I know.
Saying it. I was like, yes.
Oh my gosh, guys, thank you so much, Shaddy. Again, I asked her today. She crushed this so much. I love you. You're amazing.
Badass bitch.
For real, though. I love you guys. Have a good night. Thank you.
You killed it, Shaddy.
Thanks, baby.
Also, I feel like with Summit this week, like every call I've watched so far, I'm like just has inspired me to write a post. So just
like inspire yourself in the story.
Like
Kelsey, you wrote something earlier that made me laugh really hard. Something about you have books on leaving assholes, and I was like, fuck yeah, girlfriend. I was like, get it.
No, I just said if you're because you were like talking about all your stuff, which is
Yeah.
definitely amazing, and all of it was very valid information. But also, I said if you're, happen to be with someone that you think might be a narcissist or has narcissistic tendencies, reach out because I have 45 different book suggestions.
4,000 book recommendations for you to leave their ass. That's what you wrote.
Yes. Hey, I need to get one of those books and tell my sister about it, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
All right, then. I'm going to go eat some food.
I
love you. Bye,
Love you
guys.
guys.
Danielle, absolutely, I will do that.
I'm leaving. I love you guys.
Love you. Oh, she sent Danielle just sent it to just me.
Oh, she's sneaky. You can change it in there. Shh.
I didn't mean to send it to
She
Jesse.
didn't mean to. She asked if we could have a moment of silence for Shirley. She didn't mean to send it to just me.
I'm sorry.
Absolutely, we can.
Yeah, no, we're doing
Yes.
this right now.
Yes, we can. Let's do it right now. I wish I saw that. All right, hold on.
How you hanging in there, baby girl?
You're muted. I friggin' felt Shirley today. I don't know if you saw my story.
Thank you. I didn't go watch it yet. I actually kind of like just shut down.
Okay, so I asked, I knew it was best spending year, obviously. So I in my meditation, I just asked Shirley, if you're with me, can you please hold my hand? Literally, my hand was open, and I felt the strongest force of my whole life close my hand like I was holding somebody's hand. And then I got the most chills ever, and I basically just started crying. I can actually feel it right now. So it's just, she's here.
Yeah. Last night I was messaging all my followers, like new followers. Like everybody was in bed and I was messaging all my followers, and her mom created an Instagram and started following me last night.
Did you
and
message her by accident?
I didn't message her at all.
Oh, I was like, that's awkward.
No, because she just followed me.